talk to me about the thought process and you putting that project together.
It came from a lot of different angles, man. But the most focused angle of it was my relationship with my Uncle James Edmondson. So like, bro, where I came up, you know, I'm from essentially two places in the Bay, which is like, it's like sacrilegious to say where we from, but it's my reality. You know what I'm saying? Like my whole family's from Oakland, and I was born and raised there up until I was about, I want to say, I always forget, man. My wife is here, bro. I think I was either 10 or 11 years old. But in the 90s, Oakland was getting expensive, and they couldn't afford to buy a house where they was from. So right around the time I was 10 or 11, they bought a house in a city called Richmond, which is, you know, give or take 10, 15 minutes from North Oakland where I was living at before. And they bought the house, and we basically had been there since. You know, so my little brothers barely remember Oakland, you know what I'm saying? But for me, it was home. And it actually kind of saved me, bro, when the funks kicked up, when the beefs kicked up. Like, my Oakland homies knew me as having moved to Richmond, and then my Richmond homies to this day, they consider me from Oakland. you know what I'm saying? So it kind of saved me from a lot of bullshit. You know, from a lot of how bad it got. But a lot of my formative years, like I would say, my humility. You know what I'm saying? I learned from Richmond. You know what I'm saying? Oakland is many things. It ain't a humble place, bro. You know what I'm saying? But Richmond is. You know what I mean? It's a little like a slightly slower lifestyle, but it's also like arguably more dangerous.
Watch your back.
You know,
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like and my uncle, right after we moved to Richmond, my uncle bought a house like maybe a 10-minute walk in Richmond from where we was from. So that was my only other family that was in Richmond. So I used to be out there. My parents was cool with me walking to his house. So that was when I got old enough to have a little bit of independence. You feel me? Like I would walk down there to his house and sit up under him, you know, just to get out from under the house. And his thing, when he was off work, you know, and he was a World War II vet, and he worked in a steel mill and all type of, you know, but you know, he had a more chill job in that era. And when he got off work, he liked to either watch or listen to on the radio the San Francisco Giants. He would spin blues records on vinyl, and he would drink Old Taylor whiskey. You know what I'm saying? And if the whiskey was cold enough and the song was good enough, I might get a story about Mississippi. You know what I mean? And each one of them stories was crazy. Like I found out my uncle was a G. You know what I mean? From these stories, and like he came to California on the run. You know what I'm saying? Because he had got into it with his white boss or something. You know what I'm saying? And had to flee in the middle of the night. And that was kind of like my introduction to blues music. I didn't think of it as my own. I thought of it as it was something that belonged to my uncle. You know what I'm saying? And you know, fast forward to me getting a football scholarship and then deciding to go to film school. You know, these decisions, they took me away from my family. You know what I'm saying? You know how it is, bro. You miss things.
A lot of things.
You know, you on the road, you miss a birthday.
Yep.
You miss a wedding. You know, next thing you know, you missing funerals, right? You know what I'm saying? I was in LA working on Creed. Basically, all of 2015 is when my uncle's health took a turn for the worse, when he got diagnosed with terminal cancer. And I'm in Philly away from him, and I'm in LA finishing up the movie when I get to the call that he died. You know what I'm saying? And man, bro, it broke me down because I felt guilty. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's like, man, what is this job, bro? I'm fucking around with a editing software and a computer, bro. My uncle is dying. I'm not even able to be there with him. You know what I'm saying? And that guilt associated with that, bro. I missed so much from that house, bro. Like basically everybody from that house passed away, man. Like the only OG that's left is my auntie Wendy. You know, and I missed all of the last moments with them people because I was pursuing my dream. Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. And I would find myself playing old blues records when I thought about my uncle. Okay. And I was listening to him with a different ear. Yep. Like now that he was gone, like I'm studying the music and getting into it heavy, and sometimes I'm listening to it in the dark, and I feel like he right there listening with me. He telling me about the records, and you know the gang, bro. We talked about Nip, 2021. I'm listening to a lot of Dolph. You know, he gets murdered, and I'm in the South working on Panther 2. I'm seeing cotton farms for the first time in my life because I'm in Byron, Georgia. You know what I'm saying? And I'm thinking about this thing that happens to us as gangster rap fans that we've sadly become accustomed to. of an artist being monumental and influencing our lives and rapping about navigating the same things we navigate and they succumb to it, right? Like you said, you got Pac right here on your head and up there. Before Pac got murdered, there was a dude named Seagram from the 6ix9ine Ville in Oakland, who's like the first gangster rapper. Like, you know, Hammer was gangster, but he wasn't making gangster rap, right? You know what I'm saying? But Seagram was making that, you feel me? Like you put Seagram on and he got signed with Jay Prince to rap a lot. And, you know, he got murdered, you know, basically right when he was getting on. And then, you know, and then you got Pac, you know, and then you got Mac Dre, you got Johnny Cash, you know, you got the Jacker, you got countless young dudes, you know what I mean? Rest in peace, Kenny Cherry, Kenny Clutch from the hood, rest in peace, Tayway from the rich, you know what I'm saying? It's just constant, like this flood of bodies, you know what I'm saying, that's lost. And with Nip and Dolph, it hurt so much because they was my age and I thought that they had made it out. You know what I'm saying? Like I thought they had beat, you know, 25, 27. You know, they rapping luxury rap now about their businesses and their kids and then boom, boom, you know what I'm saying, back to back. It put me in a mode of studying the musician, you know what I'm saying? And the type of music that was coming out that my uncle listened to. You know, I interrogated it, you know what I'm saying? And that was really where the idea came from for the movie. It was all of those things. And coming off of spending so much time making 2 comic book movies and a boxing movie. And you know, I wanted to make something original. You know, I was really from my soul, you know, and about what I'm interested in before it was too late.
That's interesting because hearing you break it down, you could feel it in the movie. You could
100%.
You could definitely feel it in the movie.
In Ludwig, bro, his father, you know, he's from Sweden, bro, and his father wanted to name him Albert for Albert King. His father was that heavy of a Delta Blues fan, you know what I'm saying? And when I researched the music, and I was like, I really got into like why my uncle loved it so much, you know what I'm saying? I realized that this was maybe our country's greatest contribution to the arts. You know what I'm saying? Delta Blues music. This music became it became rock and roll, it became R&B, it became hip hop.
A lot of different genres.
It became, everything that's cool now and has been cool for the last 60 years. You know, it started right here with these people. You know what I mean? And that concept, I said, this is a massive concept. I gotta shoot this on the big cameras. I gotta bring all my homies that really are really good at this filmmaking thing. I gotta bring them to the South so we could spend 6 months making this. You know what I'm saying? And that's what we did.
Where'd the vampire twist come from?
I love horror movies.
Okay.
People didn't know that about me. You know what I'm saying? It was actually a point of sadness, man, when I realized like I've been making movies over 10 years and people still don't really know me. You know what I'm saying?
But that's your fault, not to cut you off. You don't like this. This is not your thing. I mean, before it wasn't like you don't like that. You like being behind the scenes. 100%. I respect that. Like you're not.
Bro. Like God bless you, bro. Because I know you. I can feel comfortable.
Right. But that's one thing I always respect. Like you never, because this ain't the first. Like I've been asking you shit since I started this shit to sit down. You know what I mean? And that's just, and you're like, it's not right. It's not really. It's never really been your thing. And I like that you are giving the world an opportunity to see this. You know what I mean? Because I got a chance to, get a little snapshot of it. And like your mind is like the way you think and the way you carry yourself is dope. And I'm glad you're opening up to people to allow them to experience that.
I mean, this project is definitely worthy of it, bro, from my standpoint. Like, and it needs the context. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like without the context, I think it still works. You know what I mean? But I think the context can deepen it.